The U.S. Department of Justice recently accused a Stanford University researcher of hiding her connections to the Chinese People's Liberation Army and misleading U.S. investigators. The researcher, Chen Song, is just the latest example of U.S. counterintelligence efforts against China and people accused of selling U.S. trade secrets to China. What's going on here? Ben West is Senior Global Security Analyst for Stratfor, a RANE company. Hey, Ben.
Hi, Emily.
Let's talk about espionage. Will it continue to be a point of contention between the U.S. and China?
Yes, it will be. There are no indications that China will stop trying to gain access to U.S. trade secrets anytime soon. Beijing has staked its future economic well-being on becoming more technologically independent and eventually even dominating the global tech market. And while China has tremendous domestic resources to apply to this ambitious goal, Chinese companies will also continue to rely on recruiting foreign talent and incentivizing them to bring along protected intellectual property, so essentially economic espionage. Meanwhile, the United States will continue to invest in efforts to protect those trade secrets, stopping foreign powers from stealing those secrets to benefit their own economies. The FBI has really ramped up its caseload, saying last year that around half of the Bureau's 5,000 economic espionage-related cases were linked to China. So, Chen Song's case is not the last. There will be many more charges and likely verdicts over the coming years.
Are there lessons we can learn from history when it comes to economic espionage? Who wins and loses from it?
Absolutely. So, whenever there is economic dependence on a foreign producer, there is clear incentive to replace them with domestic capabilities. So in China's case, they are dependent upon the U.S. for many things, but semiconductors are one that's a sector that comes up over and over again, where China is really dependent upon U.S. companies. This isn't the first time this has happened, though, and China certainly isn't the first country to adopt economic espionage as a tactic for economic development. In fact, if you look back at historical examples, some of the earlier examples are actually of Europeans stealing trade secrets from China. For example, China had a monopoly on porcelain production and tea cultivation for centuries, but lost it to European trade theft in the 18th and 19th centuries. Similarly, in the United States, there was broad support for stealing technology from Britain shortly after the U.S. gained independence in order to support U.S. economic independence. So I think looking back over the history, I think there are two big lessons we can take away. One, it's not just the capability to actually steal the secrets. It's the ability that a country has to exploit those secrets. Does it have the industrial base, the skilled labor, the capital to invest in new technologies in order to really exploit the trade secrets that it's acquiring? And then the second lesson is that it's not always a zero-sum game. Despite there being examples in history of countries losing their monopolies over certain technologies due to trade theft, targeted industries have flourished long afterwards. So China remains a leading exporter today of porcelain products and tea. The United Kingdom kept its industrial advantage of the United States for well over a century after U.S. independence. So economic espionage can cost industries lucrative markets, but it's not necessarily a death knell.
So why should we be concerned about modern-day economic espionage then?
So the current economic espionage campaign that we see from China, predominantly targeting the U.S., is important for two major reasons. First, China has made it a strategic priority to not only attain self-sufficiency in domestic technology production, but also to dominate the global market. So this makes it clear that China is not just stealing technology to lower costs for the domestic markets, but also to replace the current leading technology production countries like the United States, Germany, Japan, South Korea. Second, China's current economic espionage campaign is part of a larger strategic rivalry with the United States, in which Beijing looks to weaken American global power overall, not just its economic might. In this sense, stealing trade secrets doesn't just cost individual companies billions in lost revenues and R&D. It's intended to weaken the United States' role as a global leader. And this is certainly one of the most comprehensive and strategic campaigns of economic espionage we've seen throughout history. So this provides more potential to impact the larger structure of international politics than previous, more targeted economic espionage campaigns.
Ben West is Senior Global Security Analyst for Stratfor, a RANE company. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Emily.
You can stay up to date on the history of economic espionage with a subscription to Stratfor Worldview. Join us at worldview.stratfor.com. You can sign up for our free newsletter there as well. I'm Emily Donahue. Thanks for listening.